Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the Gridiron Football Player of the Week interview for our Week 14 Gridiron Football Player of the Week. And that is, before you on the screen, Jacob Crain, the quarterback for Franklinton High School. This is for his semifinal performance against Iowa, where, just a reminder of what his performance was, he was 15 for 24 for 366 passing yards and three passing touchdowns in Franklinton's 35 to 29 victory over Iowa. That was the semifinal win to get them into the Superdome. Of course, with the timeline of everything, we're doing this interview after the state championship game, where Franklinton, of course, unfortunately came up just short to Cecilia. But nonetheless, this was a very impressive season, a big step up, a big improvement for not just Jacob, but also the entire team from a three-win campaign last year, all the way to getting not just into the state championship, but a potential drive away, just a couple of plays away from hoisting that state championship trophy. So both Coach and Jacob, let's just start with kind of your thoughts about the season in general. What did you think, overall?
Well, I'll tell you, I was really proud of our team for the way that we competed in the state championship game in particular. But that was just a reflection of what we had done all year long. Obviously, having a 3-7 season a year ago, coming off of that, we knew that we needed to make some changes. Yet we also knew that we had the right pieces in the building. And Jacob was coming off a difficult season for him. Offensively, we had found a way to have success, especially in the second half of the year. But we knew that we would have to have more balance offensively if we were really going to take the next step. And so Jacob worked diligently throughout the offseason to refine his mechanics. He worked a lot on his mental game. He's matured tremendously as well, which has been a critical factor in his development. And it was very obvious to me whenever we started some of our off-season stuff around February, March, that he was a much different player already. He does some mechanical work on the weekends with Coach Lester Ricard, and Coach Ricard does a great job with him. And then what we focus on is less mechanics, but more, football IQ oriented. And I always tell him, Coach Ricard is going to work with you on your mechanics on the weekend, and then, I'm going to coach your mind. Relative to what we do offensively and relative to the game of football. And so, it's difficult in high school. You don't have as much time as you do in college. So you really have to have several people involved in the process of coaching a quarterback to be elite. And so I mentioned all of that for one simple reason. Without Jacob and his performance throughout the course of this year, we wouldn't have been in that game. Because of his performance in particular in Week 14 against Iowa, but also remember a 2-minute drive against Jules Sumner. I remember a big performance against Covington, a game we came up short, but he played very well in that game. 2-minute drive against Lakeshore. I mean, there are several 2-minute drives throughout the course of the year that he put together that were critical to our success, and several games he put together that were critical to our success. So it's all because of him. It's all because of him that we had the opportunity to be there, because you got to have the right guy pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Away from,
you can go.
we were one away from having another 2-minute drive, but things didn't go our way. But a great season, and I'm really proud of our guys for the hard work we put in. We all accepted that we wanted to be there and change the program, and it was a huge jump from 3-7 to being in the dome.
Absolutely, and this was, I think, Coach, you kind of hit on this really well. That this was a team that won, I think, like 7 one-possession games this year. You were undefeated in one-possession games until the state championship game, where it felt like I was in the Superdome for that game. It really felt like, oh, this you're going to march down. We've seen this story before. I saw the story a lot of times, Lakeshore, Iowa, the Jules Sumner game. But specifically, we want to talk about that Iowa game, where that last game to get to the Superdome, such an important game for a team taking a giant leap forward. Both of you, what did you see in that game that allowed Jacob you to have this really, really impressive performance when the lights were at their brightest with a shot at the Superdome on the line?
Well, they did a great job slowing down our run game. So Coach Matt had to trust me to make those throws. And seeing on film, we knew that the middle of the field would be our best bet. So he relied on me to make those big throws, and it really worked out for us, and we got the win.
All right, and Coach, what did you see from Jacob in that game?
I saw a quarterback who, despite the fact that we were playing a really good front, we have a good offensive line. They do a great job. But our run game was stymied. That front was quick. They were long, athletic, not really a front that we match up well against. And so it stymied our run game. We had to be able to throw it. But we knew that we had opportunities down the field to throw it going into the game. Um, it's rare, though, to get the quarterback in high school that can make some of those throws down the field, in the middle of the field. And so, most of the time, coaches are a little bit more conservative in high school about working the middle of the field. You're trying to throw everything really outside the hashes. But with this guy, pulling the trigger, it gives me all the confidence in the world to go ahead and attack that space that was available in the middle of the field, split safety coverage.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this. It wasn't just the throws down the field, which in and of themselves were really impressive. It was the fact that he was being hit as he was making a lot of these throws. And yet, look, that's a tough front to block.
Yeah, yeah.
So in no way am I being critical of our offensive line, who was outstanding. It's just a tough front to block, and they did a good job with their pass rush, and yet he was still able to buy enough time to, stand in there and have enough courage to stand in there and make those throws down the field. One of the greatest performances by a high school quarterback that I've ever seen, considering the stakes, considering the amount of times he had been hit in the game and their ability to affect the passer, considering the fact that we had to hit those plays down the field or else we wouldn't have generated much offense. It was probably the greatest single game performance I've seen by a high school quarterback in a playoff game.
That's saying a lot, and that's really high praise. And I think it's the sort of thing that we would hope to hear when we're talking about someone winning our award, right, for Player of the Week. And I do want to ask though, Jacob. So I know tough loss this past week, but finally get a break from football, right? How did the Ice Baths feel after that Iowa game?
Well, it was a very tiring season, of course, because when you play 15 games, it's going to be like that. But I appreciated every minute of it, and it was a great accomplishment. And even in the Dome, I thought the team played a great game. All you can do is just ask these kids to go out there and play their heart out, and that's what we all did. So even though we didn't get the win, just really proud of our guys, and we played great.
That's great to hear. One final kind of just thing. This is a little bit of an interesting situation. You're not a senior, right, Jacobs? You've got one more year of high school football to play, and you've gotten to see this team mature over this past year as you've matured from a team that won 3 games to a state championship appearing team. What are kind of your goals and expectations, not just for yourself, but also for the entire team going into 2025, your final year there?
Well, my team goal is, of course, to go back to the Dome and pull it off and bring the trophy back home. But my personal goals are to, of course, get stronger and faster and smarter as well. But I really need to be able to create some more plays when things don't go right because in college, that's what people are looking for. And I've just got to prove to the scouts that I'm worthy of being out there in those colleges.
And
Tell you too, he's already talking. He was telling me on Saturday. He said, "Coach, my biggest goal is to get Franklinton back to the state championship game." He said, "But my biggest personal goal is I have to get bigger and faster and stronger so that I can make more plays with my legs." So look, next morning he's already thinking about next year. He's already thinking about getting back there. He's thinking about what he has to do it, and that's what's made him successful. And that's what you're getting in this kid. I mean, he's extremely focused. He had to learn that. It wasn't innate. It's something. It was a big part of his growth from being a sophomore to being a junior. But I can't wait to see that growth from his junior year to his senior year. There's still so much that I have to teach him that I kicked myself because I didn't do as good of a job. There's a third medium play the other night. We run a mesh concept. We should have been throwing hot off of the sixth rusher from the field, and I didn't do a good enough job of preparing him for that. It wasn't his fault that we didn't. It was me. I didn't do a good enough job of coaching him, and so, he and I spent a lot of time together. And we're going to continue to do that so that he can develop mentally, so he can be the best player, not only for his future, because he has a bright future, but most importantly for Franklinton High School.
Absolutely, Coach. Do either of you want to give any final words about this year, next year, anything?
Just excited to have even greater accomplishments. And I'm really excited to watch our team grow because we lost a lot of seniors, and I'm ready to help lead this team and lead these players that aren't very experienced.
I'll tell you this, I was so proud of our team this year and the leap that we took. And yet, when you come up short, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you just want to get back. But you can't do that right now. I mean, it's so far away right now. We have to focus on the step in front of us, what's right in front of us. And that's January, getting in the weight room. That's where it starts. Coach Salt has a mantra he uses. You've probably heard it because he said it a million times, and it's a great one. Weight room, locker room, classroom. And so you got to be great in all of those areas. You have to be elite in all of those areas. And we're as excited as we were by everything that happened this year. We're just as excited to get back to work. And Jacob will have to take he stepped up as a leader this year, but this upcoming year, he's going to have to be even more of a leader. And I think he knows that. He understands that. It's something that we've already discussed. I'll tell you that our offense this year executed about as well as you'll see a high school offense execute. As much credit as Jacob gets, and he is so deserving of all of it, we have a number of guys who executed extremely well to make our offense what it was. And there was a great synergy to our kids offensively this year. It put all the pieces together. And we'll find a way to do it again this year. It's not going to be easy. We got to replace a couple of guys. We lose a really good tailback. We lose a good slot receiver. We lose two good receivers on the perimeter. We kind of played the same position and rotated. But we'll find guys. We got several guys up front we have to replace. But we've got the right guys in the building to replace those guys. It's just about putting the pieces together in the right way and in the right timing, and we'll figure it out. And when you have a quarterback like this, you always have a chance to be great offensively. We'll be great offensively again this year. I truly believe we had the best offense in the state this year. I didn't see another offense execute the way ours did. And a lot of that's because of him. But our kids did a great job this year.
And because of him, too.
I remember, I mean, like I said, I had the privilege of being at this game, the state championship game, and you guys were humming on offense for large chunks of that game. And it felt like, you came up short, but it was a game that felt like it was yours to potentially take at many different times. So, and the claim of being the best offense, at the very least, one of the best offenses in the state, absolutely is something I fully understand and agree with. You guys were awesome this year.
Thank you. I'm glad we're in agreement.
And congratulations on the great season. Again, I know it didn't end the way you wanted, but it was still a great season getting to the Superdome. And I'm looking forward to you guys, what you're able to do next season in Jacob's senior year. And thank you for everybody, of course, for the donations, for the contributions. Jacob got 17,000 votes, a huge number for Gridiron Football Player of the Week. So congratulations to Jacob again, our Week 14, the state semifinal Gridiron Football Player of the Week. And congratulations to Jacob. Congratulations to everybody there at Franklinton High School, for offensive coordinator Matthew Hughes, for Jacob Crain, for Coach Nick Salter from Maggio, everybody there at Franklinton. I am Alexander Allison, and this has been Gridiron Football. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.